Hello, everybody. You're on the mic. And on today's episode, we're going to continue on the series I've been doing on, on the voices of certain comic book characters that came to television. I recently, starting yesterday, started focusing in on Marvel comic characters. Yesterday it was Spider-Man. Today, we're going to be looking at the voices of Captain America. So, with no further ado, let's get started. So, first off, we go back to 1966, which was Captain America's first animated appearance on the show known as the Marvel Superheroes, produced by Grantway Lawrence Productions, the same company, of course, that did the original Spider-Man series. On this series, Captain America, more or less, this series was somewhat of an anthology series. It ran 5 days a week, in which Captain America had his own segment on Mondays, usually, um, basically taking the stories right from his comic stories from Tales of Suspense, as well as his time with the Avengers. On this series, Captain America was voiced by children's radio and TV show host, children's radio and TV show host Sandy Becker. Um, at this point in time in the late 60s, 66, 67. So that was Captain America's first animated appearance. So now moving ahead, of course, to the 1980s, where in the Spider-Man and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, it would be George DeCenzo who would lend his voice to Captain America in one episode of Spider-Man, The Capture of Captain America, and in 2 episodes of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Seven Little Superheroes, and Pawns of the Kingpin. George DeCenzo, who of course was known for his work with Filmation, primarily as the voices of Hordak, Bo, and She-Hulk and She-Ra, but also was the lead character, I believe, in Brave Star as well as and maybe Black Star. So George DeCenzo would provide his voice to the Spider-Man series of the Spider-Man and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the 80s. Captain America would next appear in animated form in the 1992 X-Men series in the first off in the episode Old Soldiers, in a series of flashbacks in which he was an American agent who was teaming up with Canadian agent Wolverine to rescue a scientist kidnapped by the Red Skull of the Nazis. Of course, this is all seen in flashbacks. Captain America in this episode was voiced by Lawrence Bain, who also provided the voices for Cable and Eric the Red in that series. This is, of course, a series that was done up in Canada. So Red Skull was voiced by Cedric Smith in this, who also voiced Professor Xavier. And then Captain America makes a non-speaking appearance. Makes a couple of non-speaking appearances. He makes a cameo in Red Dawn in a flashback to Omega Red's creation. And then in another appearance he appears in an alternate version of as an alternate version of himself in an altered timeline called One Man's Worth, which depicted Charles Xavier being killed before the founding of the X-Men, in which in this particular episode he would lead the He would lead he'd lead a task force of superhuman mutant hunters fighting war against the mutant resistance led by Magneto. I think that was basically kind of the same storyline in the comics Civil War. Then after that after those appearances in the '92 X-Men series, in the 1994 Spider-Man series, Spider-Man the animated series, he would basically make three appearances. He would make three appearances in Spider-Man the animated series in the '90s. His speaking was done. He was voiced by David Hayter. He made a couple of cameo appearances, and then a couple of non-speaking appearances. But the times he spoke, the voice that was provided for him was by David Hayter. He first appeared in a cameo in The Cat, season 4, episode 43, in a flashback in which Peter Parker is talking to John Hardesky, who had witnessed the experiment that turned Steve Rogers into Captain America. Hardesky had a photographic memory, and that's why Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were trying to get hands on him, because he had memorized the formula. And then Captain America would, and this is where two of his speaking appearances came into being during the last three episodes of Six Forgotten Warriors saga, in which Spider-Man had gathered up some old World War II heroes of the time that Captain America had led, and it was at least in this show's continuity, Captain America had been locked in an eternal struggle with the Red Skull in some kind of stasis machine, basically dimensional stasis machine. And then Captain America would make his last set of appearances in the Secret Wars 3-parter as part of the team of heroes that Spider-Man was to lead against to basically determine who would win between good and evil by the Beyonder. So Captain America would also make a non-speaking. He would make a cameo appearance in the '90s Fantastic Four series as well, and then Captain America would make his next speaking appearance in Avengers United They Stand in 1999, another show that was produced up in Canada, in the episode Command Decision, in which he was voiced by Dan Chamaroy. And then in the 2000s, he would make a non-speaking appearance in X-Men Evolution, in the episode Operation Rebirth, that again retold the story I would retell the story of how it came to being and the whole machine. And then at least in terms of what I would call from the classic days, one of his last speaking appearances in the 2000s here, he was voiced by Tom Kenny in the Superhero Squad show. Tom Kenny, known for a lot of his work on Boomerang, I think as Professor X or as this professor in Powerpuff Girls, most notably. But that's about as far as I'm going to go. Obviously, Captain America has made some appearances in the 2010s as well, but Marvel Animation. But I haven't watched a whole lot of those, so I'm just covering a lot of the older stuff. But those are a lot of his classic appearances. So, with all that being said, let's now look to, as today is July the 17th, 2020, let's look back on this day in history. So the first place we're going to go is 40 years ago today in 1980. On this date in 1980, Gold Key. On this day 40 years ago, in 1980, Gold Key Publishing released on the newsstands Walt Disney's Comics and Stories number 480, the 480th issue of Walt Disney's Comics and Stories. This title had gone through several companies, starting out with Dell Comics and Dell Publishing in 1940. It's still, this title is still going on today. IDW right now is handling the publishing today, but on this date in 1980, Gold Key Publishing was the Gold Key Comics was the publisher that had the rights to this title, and on this date in 1980, they released on the newsstands issue number 480. So moving on then, on this date in 1999, Studio Ghibli released the anime film My Neighbors the Yamadas, which is based off of the Yonkoma manga series Nona-chan. Albeit the manga was originally serialized as My Neighbors the Yamada, but the title was changed in 1997 to take note of the change in focus. So on this date in 1999, the anime movie My Neighbors the Yamadas was released by Studio Ghibli. And finally, on this date in 2005, from Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, um, Total Nonstop Action would host its first No Surrender pay-per-view on this date in 2005, which was, of course, 15 years ago. In the main event of that show, Raven would Raven would retain his NWA World Heavyweight Championship in a no surrender dog collar match at this event. Now, as I explained to you guys on the stream last Sunday, a dog collar match is where two wrestlers are chained together at the neck via dog collars. And the idea of the match is to incapacitate your opponent enough to drag them around the ring and tag all four corners successfully. So, and this, of course, would have been a pretty interesting thing to be able to do, considering that, Abyss, as some of you may know, is 6'8", 350 pounds, whereas Raven's maybe at best 6', 230 pounds. So you got 100+ pound advantage and 8 inches in height advantage there. The Abyss and Raven was able to pull this off. Also on the card, Christopher Daniels would retain his TNA, his X Division Championship over Petey Williams of Team Canada. AJ Styles would beat Sean Waltman in a singles match with Jerry Lynn as a special guest referee. In a no disqualification tag team street fight, Kip James, better known to most people as Billy Gunn, and Monty Brown would defeat two members of the Three Live Crew of Conan and Ron Killings. Also, in a 6-man tag team match, Team Canada members A1, Bobby Roode, and Eric Young would defeat Lance Hoyt in the Naturals. Samoa Joe would defeat Chris Sabin. In a Super X Cup qualification match, Sanjay Dutt would outlast Elix Skipper, Mikey Betts, and Shark Boy in a Super X Cup qualification match, and then the opening match for the pay-per-view was the tag team America's Most Wanted defeating Alex Shelley and Matt Bentley with Tracy. And on the pre-show, Shocker would defeat Gerald Clark. So that happened on this date in 2005, 15 years ago today. So, so with all that being said, here. So with all that being said, if you guys want to contact me directly, you can check out my Discord and direct message me there. My Discord link is in the links below. Check out the Discord and join if you'd like. Um, so along with that as well, let's see. Also, as always, I'm still promoting a bunch of different dub companies. There's a lot of work out there that you guys can take a look at. Um, you know, remember, Funimation is not the only game in town. You don't have to put up with a lot of the garbage that some of their voice actors, put their fans through. There are other companies, other works out there that were done by other dubbing companies, other voice actors and actresses who I think would very much appreciate your fanfare. And also, I'm still promoting Vic's GoFundMe. As always, don't feel like you have to donate. If you have the means to and it's on your heart to do so, please consider donating. If you've already donated, please consider donating again. And if you cannot donate, it's still about the cause by sharing the link. Sharing is caring. You never know. Maybe somebody in your circle of friends may want to help out. Doesn't hurt to ask, after all. And if you like this content, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. I always look forward to the conversation with you guys as long as it's civil and respectful. Also, don't forget, later on tonight is my next VA profile premiere, in which I'll be highlighting the career of Canadian-born, LA-based voice actor Doug Stone. Most notably, he's been the voice of Fugaku Uchiha from Naruto, as well as Matt Tracker and Bruce Sato from Mobile Armored Strike Command. And also, don't forget, this Sunday will be my next trial live stream, in which I'll be talking about the Comics Code Authority. So hopefully, I'll see you guys at one of those things. If not, and I will see you on Monday. Bye.